Hi everyone, it's me, Spring, the fiber enthusiast, and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to do a Tunisian stitch tutorial, and today's Tunisian stitch is called the back bar stitch. It's also known as the back bump. There's multiple different names that it has been called over the years, but I will show you the reason why it's called the back bar and how to do it. Now, if you want to grab a Tunisian crochet hook and some yarn to match, or just a regular standard hook with a long shaft, you can do that as well. You're going to want to chain a good little swatch. This is 15 stitches. It's up to you how many you put on. It's no repeats. This is just how to do this stitch. And it is similar to a simple stitch. It's placement of your hook and which bar you use, which is why it's called the back bar, as to the pattern you create. Now, it creates this really nice lacy texture, and it drapes well. It does not do a lot of curling, as long as you're cautious with your stitches and you don't get too carried away with being tight stitches or small hook. So we have our front bar here, and we have the back bar behind it. That's the V bars. And then we have these bumps on the back, and I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see a little bit better. So if you turn your work just slightly towards you, you can see these bumps that are created on the back. Now those are created when we do our return pass. So here we have our first stitch. Now, because of the nature of the stitch, we want to create a little bit of height. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch this last V right here. I'm just going to pinch it real tight. And then I'm going to chain one and tighten it down just a little bit. That didn't tighten down my first stitch by pinching it and holding it. When you're going to get started, you're just going to chain and simple stitch, do your foundation row. I'm going on the assumption that you already have basic Tunisian knowledge, and if you don't, you can go and check out my beginning Tunisian crochet videos. So we're going to go into the very first back bump here. Now, it might be a little difficult to locate and to understand where it's located. Here is our first stitch. Here is the second stitch. It's directly on top of your second stitch. And it might be a little bit difficult to get into that stitch. There we go. And you're going to yarn over and pull up a loop. Now you're going to go to the next bump, which, as I said, if you turn it towards you, you'll start to notice them pretty quickly. It's kind of like the back bumps of your chain. So that's what you're actually looking at, really, is the back bumps of your chain from your return pass. And I'll show you that when we do the return pass. So I'm just going to go to the end, picking up a stitch through each of these bumps. Now the end, the very end, is done a little differently than you normally would. Normally you would go down and pick up those two legs of that last stitch, those two vertical legs. But with this stitch pattern, we actually work into the back bump. So I had 15 stitches total. I'm just going to count 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. And here is my last stitch right at the very end. and I'm going to pick up that stitch through the back bump just as I have been doing the previous stitches. Now I'm going to yarn over and chain 1, and we're doing our reverse pass. Yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. So we're basically chaining our way back across by yarning over and going through 2 at a time, and that's what's creating those bumps. So that is chain bumps, and they're more towards the wrong side of your fabric. We'll go do the forward pass again, just to kind of reiterate here. I pinched that very first vertical stitch so it doesn't tighten that stitch down. I chain 1 and tighten that chain down just a little bit, snug it up. Now I'm ready to continue on by going into that first bar, back bump, and yarning over and picking up a loop, a stitch. The next bar, the next bar, and you just work into those back bars. All right, so I'm down to this last stitch here. I want to double check 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. And we're going to go into that final back bar and pick up a stitch. And then you do your standard return pass. Chain 1 and yarn over, go through 2. Yarn over, go through 2 until you have exhausted all but 1 loop on your hook. Now to bind off, you're going to bind off same mannerisms as you would normally bind off your Tunisian. You're going to work in pattern, slip stitching your way across. So let's go ahead and bind off this little swatch here. So I'm going to chain 1 and again hold that stitch, tighten that one down, go into that very first back bar, pick up a stitch and slip. Go into the next one, pick up a stitch, slip. Just work your way down those back bars of the row, and we'll just bind this top off. Almost to the end, and then you can see a little bit bigger of a swatch. Last stitch. Now I'm just going to pull up a loop so that way I don't lose it. So there you have the Tunisian back bar, or otherwise known, if you're looking at a pattern, TBB. So Tunisian back bar. All right, everyone, I hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you have used this stitch and you knew it as a different name, let me hear from you down in the comment section. What did you make with it, or did you just do a sample? Be blessed, be a blessing, and until next time, bye for now.